I'm Guy Benson. Appreciate you listening. Joining us now is David Osborne. He is Senior Director of Labor Policy at the Commonwealth Foundation and author of a brand new report, The Battle for Worker Freedom, How Government Unions Fund Politics Across the Country. And I think this is such an important thing to focus on because I have cited before and will again, FDR, a very lefty president, of course, who is responsible, I think, for a lot of massive entitlement programs and other decisions that I have issues with. He was, at least in my mind, absolutely correct about government unions. He opposed them. He felt like they shouldn't be allowed to exist. Effectively saying, these are people who are collectively organizing and bargaining against the taxpayer. That shouldn't be allowed. And then when you layer on top of that, not just their pay, pension, benefits, all of that, when you then add all the political spending that you see from these groups, from these government unions, so the money gets confiscated from us, the taxpayer, then sent through the bureaucracy to pay these individuals, and then some of that money gets confiscated from those individuals into the coffers of these union bosses who then turn them around, those dollars, to plow them on a vast scale into our elections to try to get more favorable politicians who would be willing to do even more confiscation and keep this gravy train rolling for them against, in many cases, in my mind, the interests of the taxpayer. And I think the scale of this is something we understand that it's happening. Many conservatives and maybe some others object to it. I'm not sure we have a full understanding of how much this happens, how much money laundered through this process, our money laundered through the process, then gets used in political spending to try to elect people that conservatives certainly would find to be anathema in the political realm. And that is exactly what David has dug into here and produced this report. David, great to have you. Welcome.
Thanks, Guy.
All right, so give us some of the highlights or lowlights of this report. What do you think people need to know?
Well, first, this isn't small money. We're talking nearly $1 billion in just the last election cycle. The four largest government unions spent about $915 million on elections, and you're right, progressive politics nationwide. So here we're talking about the two biggest teachers unions, the National Education Association and American Federation of Teachers, and then there are a couple of very large government union entities that represent workers at the state, county, municipal level, the SEIU and AFSCME. Lots and lots of money going around.
So talk about the pipeline here, because I want to let that settle in, what you just described. $915 million, so pushing $1 billion, and that is only from four major government unions and only in the 2023-2024 election cycle. So close to $1 billion in political spending. Is 90+% of it flowing to Democrats and left-wing groups? That's my assumption.
More than that, it's close to 99%, Guy. So if you're a teacher paying membership dues and you're part of the NEA, 1 out of every $4 that you pay in membership dues goes to politics. All right. And if you're paying PAC money, so unions also raise money to fund their political action committees, you're funding an additional group of political donations. But for those who are just paying membership dues, I feel the most for them. You talk about the taxpayer being hurt. I think these teachers are being hurt, too, because they're losing their voice. If 1 out of every $4 that they pay in membership dues goes to politics, and if 99% of that money ends up going to fund Democrats for office, that is not at all reflective of who teachers are, who the general public are. This is just union officials playing politics with the dues money that they're supposed to be entrusted with.
Yeah, shouldn't it be optional for a teacher or anyone else, but especially in this case, we're talking about government employees who are paid for, their salaries are paid, their benefits are paid by tax dollars. Shouldn't it be voluntary, at least, for them to decide whether they want some of their own hard-earned money to be taken back from them to their unions and then funneled to political organizations and candidates that they might not even support. In fact, there's plenty of conservative and Republican teachers out there, and oftentimes, in many cases, they have no say in the matter at all. That money comes out, and it goes to these people that they oppose, actually, and that's their money that they've earned.
Yeah, well, let me add that not only do they not have control over it, most of them don't even know about this. Unions take dues money, and they can really do whatever they want with it under existing law. So they take that money. A lot of the major public sector unions put them in a super PAC, or what they call a 527, which is a political organization that the union also controls, but where it's very difficult to follow the money. So union members really clued in about a year or two after their dues money is spent. They can find out where it went on what are called LM2s. These are federal filings where public sector unions, many of them still have to report what they do. But they're going to wait a year or so to see that report, and then after that, they've got to find the money and what the PAC, what the super PAC or a 527 did with that money. And in many instances, those are extremely difficult. You've got to go into a state campaign finance system and go and track down that money and how. Oh yeah,
no, it's like inscrutable and confusing by design. And even if they were to track it down, some very enterprising teacher were to track exactly down the money, where it went, how it was spent, and then had a problem with it, it'd be like, oh, well, tough luck. Give us more of your money because we're doing it again the next cycle to the tune of $1 billion. And I'll just say, David, that we see often on the left these crocodile tears about the influence of money in politics. And they rail against millionaires and billionaires and the donors and shadowy dark money and all of that. They actually love big money in politics. They love big money from their own giant donors, and they have a web of them, many billionaires, and they also love this racket where they can actually take taxpayer money and then funnel it back to themselves. So I just want to once again illustrate the point. The left and the Democrats love money in politics, so long as it is money in politics from their fellow ideologues or from people who have no real power or say in the matter, but the money ends up in their coffers somehow on the left. Anyway, very quickly, David, before I let you go, if people want to dig into your report and connect some of these dots and see the work that you've done, where can they find it?
I'll give you two options. One is to go to our website, commonwealthfoundation.org, or you could Google and check out the latest Fox News article on this. It's entitled, Largest Public Sector Unions Spend Eye-Popping Amount on Left-Wing Politics, 86% funded by member dues. The entire report is reproduced there on Fox News website.
David Osborne, Senior Director of Labor Policy at the Commonwealth Foundation. You just heard their website there. And he's got this report out, The Battle for Worker Freedom, worth your time, especially if you're in that sector or if you're just a taxpayer, so most of you. David, appreciate your time today. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, guys.
We'll be right back.